Alright, we are live. I'm hitting play. And now I will send messages. Because otherwise no one ever shows up, apparently. Because I'm still relatively new as of last month. Yay me. Go over to Twitchy-roo. Profile. Copy link. And now I will wander over to messages. What the frack? Copy link. Awesome. Okay, let's try this again. Paste. Go over to Facebook, which I need to get it up. Screen for. Paste. Post. Go to Discord. Okay. Do it Instagram. I gotta put a link in my Instagram. Next. Share. Sorry guys, I'm just hitting share so that people know that I'm posting. But I'm streaming tonight. Hopefully those of you that are in the chat already can hear me. Because yay. And I'm just heading over to Threads, make sure it's posted there. Yep. Go to Meta. Fuck it. Let's... Hey. Okay. Discord, Meta, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. That is where people can follow me. I've posted that. I will go to Twitch. Yay! Welcome my viewers. As I go to the stream editor so I can pay attention to you guys. Yep, I see you there, Padme. Thank you for coming in. Okay, now we will continue on from where we left off yesterday. Which I believe was end of chapter 11. Yeah, because we were just finishing up that rainy section. I guess I'd be lying if I said I didn't get any sleep. I tried staying awake all night, but there was definitely gaps in my memory. I guess I kept nodding off and jerking awake in the panic of the night. I almost said jerking off, but okay. I spent all night hugging the metal bat and sat on the top of my futon, used to barricade my door. Waiting, watching, just in case someone tried to break in through my window. Yeah, I don't have to have that worry because I live like 3 levels up in a building, so yay. If I left this spot, someone would break through the door, sending the futon flying and attack me. But if I stopped watching the window, someone would break through the glass and attack me. I tried telling myself I was just being paranoid, but I couldn't sleep. The thought of being so vulnerable scared the living daylights out of me. If sleep meant taking that risk, I didn't need it. It was so much better just to stay awake. At some point during the endless cycle of nodding off and jolting awake, light began to shine outside. But that was it. It wasn't so much the morning as it was just the sun simply having risen. I snuck a peek outside the curtains. Rena was gone. I couldn't see her anywhere, no matter how hard I looked. Finally, I could breathe a deep sigh of relief. The night was finally over. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't tired, but I didn't feel like sleeping at the moment. I still had time, but I need to make my own breakfast, so I'd better get started soon. Skipping school was also an option. With my mom gone, it'd be easy to play hooky. Honestly, I debated it. The risk involved in leaving my house was incalculable, so staying holed up in here was probably my safest option. But staying here wouldn't solve anything. Uishi-san wouldn't help me without cold hard evidence. Neither he nor my parents, so unless I found some sort of proof, these relentless nights would never end. I stretched my body, tilted my head back, and closed my eyes just as I did every morning. I regulated my breathing and regained my senses. Calm down, Keiichi Miyabara. Let's go to school. Let's wait until they set their trap for me. But that didn't mean I just was going to twiddle my thumbs. I needed to avoid that trap and secure irrefutable evidence. Take note of the plates of any car that drives by. If I see someone suspicious, check their clothing and face. I wasn't just protecting myself, I was preparing myself to turn their attack against them and retaliate. The tension was similar to when two samurai were both aiming to slay each other with a single motion as they drew their katanas. I was not at a disadvantage. I would have the chance to retaliate. I finally felt a bit of courage growing in my chest. Alright, let's go to school. I tightened my grip on Satoshi's bat. He was the only partner I could count on. Satoshi, please lend me your strength. Yay, Riders won! Good for the Riders. Satoshi, please lend me your strength. And trust your dying regrets to me since you were probably murdered. I'll make sure I dispel them. With renewed resolve, I checked the clock. It was still early. Of course I was going to school by myself today. If I didn't want to run into Rena or Mion, I needed to leave now. The shattered fragments of the cupboard were still strewn all over the entryway. Right. I meant to clean that up last night, but never got around to it with the phone call and everything else that happened. If my parents came back and saw this while I was at school, I would never hear the end of it. Still, I'd be wasting time if I cleaned it up right now, and considering what happened if I ran into Rena or Mion, it wouldn't be too late to clean it up after I got back home. Making extra certain the doors were locked, I left the house. My uniform was still covered in mud from yesterday, so I left it in the washer. Today I was going to school in a tracksuit. By wearing a different outfit this morning, my mind was forced to accept that today was different from yesterday. I had a hunch. Today might be the day I get killed. Keep your guard up, Keiichi Miyabara. The only one who gets to decide if today's my last day is me. The music's really good here. Aw, and the music went away. Oh well, hi Gracie. Swinging the bat. I spent the morning practicing my swing like it was my natural routine. After a while, Rena arrived at school. Our eyes met, but we said nothing. Rena said nothing about last night, as if it never happened. I could see those vents were real by the wounds carved in her fingers. I could hear her telling Satoko and the others the bandages were from hurting herself in the kitchen. Though it wasn't like it bothered me. The details that Oishi-san shared about Rena's incident before her transfer played vividly in my mind. Now that I knew about it, I couldn't even dream of Rena as a cute, ideal girl. Uh-oh. Kei-chan, I see you're still aiming for the nationals. It was Mion. I already sensed her approach, but I wasn't that surprised. Oh, Mion, if you understand, then leave me alone. I'm busy practicing. I gave her a curt reply without my usual jokes. Then I gave the bat an even larger swing, tacitly keeping Mion from getting any closer. Hey, Kei-chan, take it easy. I think Mion got the message, but she still urged me to give it a rest. Homeroom's not that far off, is it? Just let me finish practicing. I swung the bat even harder as a sign of my refusal. Kei-chan, when did you get into baseball? Just recently. Recently? You mean yesterday? Don't ask, you already know. Oh dear. That's very unsportsmanlike for flying. You're distracting me. Go away. I ignored Mion and kept swinging. Normally she'd get mad or bored and leave if someone gave her the cold shoulder like this. But Mion just stood there, waiting patiently for me to stop swinging. I didn't sense any hostility. But we were at school in plain view. I doubt she'd suddenly attack me here. Or is that too naive? Still, I was starting to get tired. It wouldn't be so bad to take a break and hear her out. You need me for something, right? What is it? Sweat poured from me as I stopped swinging. I noticed my shoulders were heaving as I was breathed. I cursed my lack of exercise. At this rate, I must be able to move as needed when the time came. I should probably keep swinging my swings to build the stamina in addition to the excuse for carrying the bat around with me. Well, it's nothing important. If you're tired, you can ask again later. Now it's fine. I'm only dealing with you right now because I judge the situation to be safe. I'm talking alone away from the others, that's out of the question. Well, Mion was uncharacteristically trying to choose her words. But unlike Oishi-san, it didn't look like she was going to talk about something I'd rather not hear. Mion was puzzled, trying to find the right thing to say. But then she gave a hearty laugh to break herself out of that mire. This old man's just no good at this stuff. Having a poor vocabulary hurts. What's this all of a sudden? If you have something to say, just say it. Stop it. Stop that swinging. She cut straight to the point. Her request was so frank, I didn't understand it for a moment. I already stopped swinging to listen to her, hadn't I? I did stop. I just stopped, didn't I? That's not what I meant. I want today to be the last day you swing that bat. I'm sorry. It took me some time to understand what she was asking for. What's wrong with swinging a bat? Why? It's none of your business, is it? I'm not bothering anyone, am I? You are, Mion said flatly. Flat out. This didn't make any sense, and that was really irritating. When did I bother anybody? Mion was at a loss for words. But she finally made up her mind and spoke. Though she stuttered as she said it. Because, Kei-chan, that's someone else's bat. You shouldn't borrow it without permission. It was left behind by a student who transferred, right? I'm just borrowing it until he comes back for it. Yeah. He transferred. Mion grew uncharacteristically flustered. This made it all too clear his transfer was a lie. But strange, isn't it? For the older brother to transfer by himself, while his little sister stayed behind. Mion couldn't hide her reaction at my words shook her up. Kei-chan, you knew? Satoshi Hojo. Sadako's older brother, right? The one demoned away last year. Unable to respond to that, Mion fell silent. Rena asked the same thing. Why did you start swinging the bat? She told me Satoshi did the same thing, practicing his swings, right before he went missing. So is this some kind of omen for Orishiro-sama's curse? Shh! Mion panicked and looked around. Uh-oh. My kitty hit something on my phone. Hi, kitty. Mion panicked and looked around. Please, Kei-chan, don't mention Orishiro-sama so recklessly. I don't believe in him, but others very much do. Rena especially. Dangerously so? Anyway, you're scaring everyone. If you're just fooling around, then stop it. You have to stop acting like Satoshi. I was the one who was scared. Who do I have to thank for taking up this bat in the first place? But it's unsettling to me knowing that my actions were overlapping with Satoshi's. If it was one thing if someone suggested it, but I thought I was making my own decisions. I'll say this now. I don't know anything about Satoshi. After all, you didn't tell me anything about him. We didn't mean to hide it. You were hiding incidents that happen every year, weren't you? That's because we didn't want to, You didn't want to scare me? That's your reason for leaving me out? No, we didn't mean to. Mion, I asked you directly if something had happened at the dam, didn't I? And you told me nothing happened. When someone was dismembered and murdered. You lied to me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to lie to you. Friends don't hide things from each other, right? Isn't that right? Then you're all aren't my friends. Kei-chan, Mion looked helpless and flustered. I was imagining the tears in her eyes. I never could have imagined Mion acting like this. Oh, by the way, those get well mochis brought over the other day, they were good. I thought I was going to bleed. Who did it? You or Rena? Me? She admitted it so easily. I couldn't help but be surprised at how easy that was. You could have killed me. How could you do that to a friend? But it was just a little prank. Mion gave me a wry smile mixed with confusion, causing even more anger to well up inside me. You think that was a prank? I grabbed Mion by the collar and lifted her up. This wasn't the same as putting Tabasco sauce in a piece of mochi. It was a needle, a sewing needle. If I had swallowed that and lodged in my throat, what did she think would happen? Mion's face froze as her body rattled with fear. This wasn't the Mion Sonozaki I knew anymore. Anyways, you're not my friend. There was no reason for me to listen to someone who's not my friend. So leave me alone for a while. Got it? Mion wasn't replying anymore. It wouldn't be that easy to erase me, you know. The cops have been onto you from the start. Don't think you'd make me disappear like you did Satoshi. I said it clearly. It was my declaration of war. I think you guys are suspects in previous incidents too. I also know you spent a lot of time with the cops ever since the anti-dam movement. Don't think you can hide it from me, got that? How did you know? Mion stood there with this dumbstruck look on her face. That was when I heard the principal ringing the bell for school. It was time for the morning homeroom. Let's go. Class representative needs to be there, right? At that moment, for the first time, I realized Mion was sobbing as tears ran down her cheek. You're so mean. You're so mean, Kate. Shut up. Me? I wanted to console her, but I shut my mouth. I have no need to feel guilty. I'm going. Don't be late for homeroom. I left Mion still shaking as I turned to head for the entrance. I had no idea how troubling it was to make a girl cry. Behind my back, I could hear her muttering. It was a faint mutter as she was speaking to herself. Weird, her eyes didn't go in that weird way this time. So that's how it is, huh? She wasn't saying it to anyone. It was Mion talking to herself. But it was the sobbing voice that had a kind of giddy cursing tone. I inadvertently stopped and turned back towards her. So it was that bastard. He leaked it all to Kei-chan. She balled her fists as her tears continued to rain down. She glared at the spot with a terrifying yet smiling face, cursing. A chill ran down my spine from that demonic expression. This transformation, Mion's transformation, was different from Rena's. I should have killed him back then. He forgot the mercy I showed him because he was going to retire this year. Retiring this year? Was she talking about Oishi-san? Damn it! Damn it! I'm going to kill that damn old man! Ah! The light in the air itself began distorting. With Mion at the center, the world began to twist and spiral, bending, whirling. This was the first time I'd experienced such a visage. Rise, attention. Mion made an excuse for red eyes by saying there was something wrong with her contacts. After that, neither Rena nor Mion spoke to me for the rest of the day. Neither Sadako or Rika-chan looked me in the eye. Strangely, I didn't feel hurt. Everything had just went back to the way it was. The months since I transferred had been almost too much fun. That was all. School was supposed to be something like this to begin with. I should have disliked that feeling, but today it felt oddly refreshing. The bell rung, sounding the end of the monotonous school day, which felt so tense yet so dull. Since it would cause a lot of unpleasant memories if they asked me to join the club activities, I probably started preparing to go home without even looking at them. I stuffed the contents of my desk into my bag, wrapping my hand around Satoshi's now familiar bat and began heading toward the entrance. I was assailed by both exhausting relief that nothing had happened today and tiring possibility of the same thing repeating tomorrow. But deep down inside me, far beneath in the recesses of my heart, I knew this would be the last day of this cycle. I couldn't tell how the ending would be, whether it would end as I wished it to end, or if it would end as I hoped it wouldn't. Regardless, in my current state, there was something more important in how things would end. There's something I wanted to know. Why did I have to be killed? How did it come to this? Why? For what purpose? The sunlight was relentless. The sun, the heat, even the air. They wouldn't give me my answers. Or could it be the cries of the Higarashi were desperately trying to tell me something? Somewhere mixed in with their shrieks, Tomatake-san and Satoshi were also probably trying to tell me something. I simply hadn't been able to realize it yet. When do I realize it? I wonder if I'll be amongst the Higarashi's fruitless crying to the next victim. Glancing down at my feet, I saw a Higarashi on its back spasming weakly. Flee, flee, flee. There was so much of the summer left, yet this little one had already chirped its last song. I couldn't tell what it was saying, no matter how hard I listened. But I had to try. I had to try to listen to what it was desperately trying to tell me. At that moment, the shrill of the Higarashi ceased all at once, as if they'd huddled together, fearing that the person who'd brought them to their dreadful fate had arrived. There was no mistaking it. A presence was approaching. The sound of footsteps were almost non-existent. If the Higarashi hadn't warned me by the ending their chirping, I wouldn't have noticed. My exhaustion left me in a heartbeat. In its place was a rush of adrenaline that sharpened all my senses. I was barely able to hold back that creeping, suffocating feeling of horror. It wasn't something I could hold back for long. But in this moment, when I needed to be razor sharp, I was able to retain my composure. I wasn't going to shout like I did yesterday. I hid myself calmly among the trees, waiting for my pursuer's shadow. Could I get them to pass by me? No? Since I was able to hear their footsteps, they were probably also able to hear mine. They might also already be able to tell that I'd hidden myself and was holding my breath. The person tailing me was a Rena, just like yesterday? If it was Rena, I wouldn't hold back. I could yell at her and make her go like yesterday. If it wasn't Rena, it would depend on how they acted, I guess. Footsteps ambled closer. I swallowed, wiped my clammy hands off my pants, and readjusted the grip on my bat. I could tell the fear that I had beaten backwards was now waiting for another opening to come at me. Who could it be? I peeked out from behind the tree at the person following me. My imagination had not led me astray. It was Rena. There was a bit of relief as I realized it was someone I knew, but that feeling left me in an instant. It wasn't the same Rena that I knew. Her eyes were dark and lightless. Oh goody, it's this version. But her mouth appeared as if it was carved in a crescent, yes. It looked like she was grinning slightly. And in her right hand was an axe. I hid myself behind the tree once again and recalled the unbelievable sight I just saw. What was that just now? The embodiment of terror laid bare. Baseball, practicing my swing, there was tons of excuses for me carrying a bat. But for that axe? There was no excuse for that. An axe? Just like that. Keiichi-kun, are you playing hide and seek, I wonder? My heart was pounding. Hard enough I had trouble breathing. The little composure I had been able to hold on to was crushed. In its place, a cold sweat gushed forth, covering my entire body, letting me know precisely what kind of emotion had taken hold. Not good, not good, not good! I wasn't able to hide myself completely. She already knew I was here. Were you trying to scare me, I wonder? I decided it'd be better to reveal myself now, since there was still space between us than to allow Rena to come any closer. I adjusted my grip on the bat and readied myself mentally to step out from behind the tree. I found you, Keiichi-kun. Rena was pleased that she found me, eliciting a mysterious giggle. Her mouth was smiling, but her eyes told me she was displeased by the fact that I had been hiding. Those eyes, they were so empty. My legs began to quiver. Not good. In the pit of my stomach, all sorts of vicious hot and cold substances began to spread around. If I allowed it, that substance would slip into my bloodstream and undoubtedly freeze all organs in my body. Not good. Not good! I'd be devoured by Rena at this rate. Strike back. Don't lose. What is it? I blustered, hiding behind my bravado. Rena didn't flinch one bit. Just the same as Keiichi-kun. I'm heading home. Then what about that axe? What about that bat you're holding? I'm practicing my swing. I'm treasure hunting. Rena gave a flippant explanation to why she had such a fearsome weapon. Treasure hunting. Treasure hunting. At the treasure mountain near the dam site, I found a new cute thing. So I need this to dig it out. How could I believe that? You wouldn't believe it, would you? Rena's laugh was obviously very strange. I'd seen Rena's transformation many times before, but this one today was completely different. Like her mischievous tone and the shrewd glint in her eyes, it wasn't something that roundabout. I'm not sure what to say, but it was just so obvious.
Wait, Keiichi-kun.
Rena didn't stop walking, even as she let out that eerie laugh. Whenever Rena got too close to me, I would scurry away and turn back towards her. This cycle repeated over and over. No matter how you looked at it, I was being chased by Rena and was trying to escape. Don't follow me!
I can't do that. My house is this way after all.
When I met Rena on this road yesterday, she cowered and trembled as she followed my commands. But today was different. Rena didn't show a hint of trepidation. Actually, wasn't I the one who was cowering? The way home for Rena and me was the same, that's fine, I just changed my route. That'd work out, wouldn't it? I turned to the side street I've never been down and knew very little about. Loretta saw me do that while laughing. Why? Why? Aren't you quick home? Just go down the street like you normally do. Why would you follow me down this weird little side road? Those thoughts screamed in my head, eventually spilling out of my mouth. Well, why are you following me? The tone of my voice was already tinged with terror.
Because I want to talk to Keiichi-kun. Keiichi-kun wants to talk to Rena too, doesn't he?
I don't want to talk about anything with you.
That's the thing, isn't it? There's something I want to ask you about, isn't there?
Not at all. I have nothing to talk to you about.
Why isn't it?
Not a lie.
Die!
Rena's scream echoed across the nearby birds into flight. I gritted in fear. The only thing I could do was increase my pace.
Let's talk, Keiichi-kun! Talk!
Why was I running down the central deserted street?
Doesn't Keiichi-kun have something he's worried about?
Nothing at all. I'm not worried about anything. Even though I was running, even though Rena was walking, why wasn't I getting any farther away?
I know. I really do know. You're scared, aren't you, Keiichi-kun?
I'm not scared. I'm not scared of anything. Breathing grew heavy and it felt like my legs were giving up beneath me. Rena wasn't even breaking a sweat. I'm listening. This time I'll listen. I have no idea what she was talking about or what exactly she wanted to do. This time I'll listen. It will be different from the time with Satoshi. When she said Satoshi's name, I turned back for a moment. As I did that, Rena was still advancing. I couldn't afford to stop.
Satoshi couldn't breathe too. It looked like he was having such a hard time. But I didn't listen. I was so sad.
When did this street connect to all these twists and turns, ups and downs? It's hard to believe this was even remotely in the direction towards my house. My sense of direction is long since gone out the window. I really regretted it when Satoshi's been transferred out.
I thought if I listened, he might not have transferred out. I really regretted that.
The road led me deeper into the forest. Wasn't I getting further away from the village the more I ran? I lost more and more of my composure the more I thought about it. Despite this realization, my inner self was still disturbingly calm.
So you see, I vowed if there was someone struggling like Satoshi did, I'd save them. I don't want to see anyone transfer out again.
Damn it! What does transfer even mean? I won't let you transfer me. I won't end up the same as Satoshi.
Come on, Keiichi-kun, talk to me. I'll be able to understand you, Keiichi-kun. I'm your ally.
I started to wheezing out of breath. My lungs were so hot they felt like they were going to explode. My heart was beating so hard it could possibly, as hard as it possibly could. I should have been practicing running instead of my swing. I couldn't even afford to scoff that stupid thought.
If Keiichi-kun doesn't have anything to worry about, he'll go back to normal. Everyone will be back to being friends and we can enjoy club activities again. Next time we'll team up and beat Mii-chan.
Yeah, how much fun that would be. Man, I couldn't even imagine how much I wished I could turn back the clock to those past few days.
You could be nice to me again, too. I want to go searching for treasure again. This time I'll prepare a nice lunch. Actually, we could go right now. Let's go up the dam site together. I'll show you the cute thing I just found. I'm sure you'll like it too.
My footsteps made pathetic clapping sounds as my legs wobbled and faltered. Under my heels, Rena's steps were sharply breaking twigs underfoot. I had to accept it. I was on the run, being chased by Rena. If she caught me, it was all over. I realized it instinctively. I couldn't even begin to think what the end would entail. Entrails. Just as I was just that I was caught and it was all over. That's all I knew. It didn't matter how long I was gonna end. I wouldn't let it end. Not without knowing anything, not yet. The momentary lapse was all it took. All the things that could have happened. My knees buckled underneath and I crumbled down towards the ground. I tried to stand frantically, urging my legs to respond. I used my bat as a makeshift cane to prop myself, but Rena was already standing right in front of me. Compared to me, out of breath and utterly exhausted, Rena was so cool and composed that he could have froze the air around her. She wasn't breathing hard at all, rather, I could even sense her heart was beating.
Are you afraid of something, I wonder? It's not like you to tremble, Keiichi-kun.
Her expression looked almost affectionate. Those soulless eyes, that mask of affection. As she admonished me for trembling, Rena's hands deftly slipped over her head. The blur of arms as it moved made me feel like I was staring at the godliness of a thousand-armed Buddha. Then, as both of her hands met above her head, the axe she held came into focus. I stared up in disbelief. It was all I could do.
Tell me, what happened to Satoshi?
Rena stayed like that, with the axe raised above her head. Solemnly she opened her mouth. It was as if she was expressing a farewell to a friend she'd never see again. That cruel scenario resided somewhere in her actions.
I told you, Satoshi-kun transferred out.
Enough of that transfer bull crap. It means demoned away, doesn't it? Doesn't it? You can tell me now, can't you? Who made Satoshi disappear? Was it you, Mion, or someone else in the village? Answer me. I became frantic the more I screamed, but Rena just did nothing but maintain the smile frozen on her face.
I have no idea what Keiichi-kun is talking about.
Then I'll say it in a way so you do. Who is the perpetrator of this chain of mysterious deaths?
You seem confused, Keiichi-kun.
What?
There is no human perpetrator. Everything is by Oishiro-sama's will.
Isn't Oishiro-sama's curse just superstition? You believe in that too?
It's not about believing or not. Oishiro-sama exists, period.
Rena's gaze grew even more gelid. The ferocity of her stare was so intense, not allowing me to question anything. There's just no way something like Oishiro-sama could exist.
You don't believe in Oishiro-sama?
There's no way I could believe it. There's no way it could exist.
It exists. Oishiro-sama exists. Keiichi-kun should have felt it personally.
I never felt something like that.
Kate-kun, have you felt someone apologizing to you before? Constantly on top of that?
All the noise from the outside world disappeared. Only Rena's voice resounded loudly and terribly.
You see, until you forgive them, they'll always be with you. At school, at home, at your bedside. I couldn't understand what Rena was saying at this point. You came to me too. Oyashiro-sama did. That's why I transferred and came back to Hinamizawa.
I don't understand. I don't understand. What does transfer even mean? What was Rena saying?
Hasn't Oyashiro-sama come to you as well, Keiichi-kun? I'm probably the only one you can confide in. I won't let you transfer out. Okay?
Rena's demented laughter clanged around my head. Was Rena saying Oyashiro-sama came to her as well? That's right.
That's right. Last night I heard about when I asked him.
Last night I heard about that when I asked about Rena. Okay. Please keep this confidential. As part of this may be speculation. Not all of it may be true. Are you still interested? Oishi-san began speaking. Neither the victims nor the school filed complaints, so there's no preliminary report. Basically, the police haven't intervened in this matter, so all these details are what you heard from those involved. Meaning it's not credible. You said there were victims. Didn't Rena just break all the windows? No, Rena or Yuga attacked 3 boys using a metal bat. 2 of them made it out with only bruises. The other had been injured so badly that one of his eyes was permanently damaged. Would that be considered assault? Should the police have arrested her? For whatever reason, the victims never pressed charges. There was no report to the police, so they were beaten by the bat and suffered significant injuries. Normally there would be a criminal investigation. But why didn't they press charges? I tried asking the 3 male victims for their side of the story, but they were all reluctant. It's hard to say, but they were all afraid. Even after she had transferred schools. Oishi-san, could you summarize it starting at the beginning? Rena hit people while she broke the windows. Rena hit people while she broke windows. Or was it she started breaking windows after she got bored of hitting people? They sounded similar, but the meanings were drastically different. On an undisclosed date, Rena Ryuga was conversing with 3 male students, close friends of hers, near the pool shed, storage shed. Who were those 3? I can't reveal their names. They were close to Rena Ryuga, seemed like they were a group of friends. She was a lone girl in there, so it wasn't that strange that the 4 of them were together. So what happened? I don't know the reason why. She took the baseball bat that was in the pool storage shed and beat the 3 of them down one after the other. What? There were no witnesses? This was an account pieced together by information given at the time of the incident. One day after school, Rena and the 3 students were at the pool's storage shed, talking together. They weren't seeking help, rather they were usually met up there. It appears it became a heated discussion. At the time, Rena underwent a change. Gee, sounds familiar. The change was so abrupt the 3 of them didn't comprehend what was happening. And yeah. Then taking the middle bat, she attacked her friends one after the other. Leaving her friends covered in blood with gashes on their heads, she made her way towards the school. Yikes. Then she broke the class windows one after the other. A few minutes later, a teacher appeared on the scene and subdued her. What was this change Rena underwent? What matches up with the statements from all 3 was a sudden change. The point there was transformation. Transformation? I also could recall Rena's transformation. I'd seen that change many times before. It was so different from the usual Rena that I couldn't help but believe it was someone else who looked like Rena. That transformation they're talking about, how did it happen before? No, there was nothing like that. As far as I knew, finding out in her medical history past, there was nothing like that. Does that happen often where people suddenly change like Rena? Of course it does. There are plenty of psychological phenomena that could cause something like that. And you're saying there was a dormant element in Rena that caused that transformation. I cannot say that for certain. According to the statements of her friends, it's hard to believe she had such a side to her. Kind, caring, adorable. Even before she transferred here, she probably was pretty popular in school like she was now. The girl transforming suddenly and assaulting them with a bat, who could imagine such a thing? Nobody could have seen it coming. I myself sometimes believe I was mistaken for thinking Rena was even now. Then what happened after that? There was a hospital. So what happened after that? There was a hospital right across from the school. The three of them were carried and treated quickly. What about Rena? What about the police? Why wasn't there a criminal investigation? You see, the police couldn't get involved unless they were called. Even the one that was badly injured with permanent damage, why didn't they file charges? That's what caught my attention as well. Either some threat or pressure was placed on them, or they had a reason they couldn't file charges even if they wanted to. What are you talking about after all? Of course you looked into it, didn't you? Well, yeah. I told you at the beginning, didn't I? That the victims were all very reluctant to talk. They didn't want to touch on the matter, rather they didn't want to be involved. Reluctant to talk, didn't want to touch it, didn't want to be involved. It resembled the villagers here or Shirasama's curse. Did the teacher at the school tell you anything? A school is hallowed ground. They say that they tend to keep scandals under wraps. I didn't have the search warrant, so I had to tread lightly, you see. Then there was no comment from the school. No, they denied the incident even happened. Great. It's just 3 male students were carried in for blunt force trauma that day. That's all there was to the hospital records. The victims didn't speak. The school denied it happened. Then you don't know anything about it. Yeah, I don't know anything other than the incident itself is taking place. The victims also wish this incident be kept from the public, so if you and I both forget about it, Barasan, this incident would probably just fade away. For a brief period we sat in silence. At the first glance, it looked like a simple assault case, but that was just the tip of the iceberg. The depths were obscured by rolling waves sinking quietly into the void, as if it never existed to begin with. After that, she was suspended by the school, and during that time, she went psychiatric counseling. Did you hear anything from that doctor? Again, they were very professional in regards to their ethics, or at least very tight-lipped. Nothing even after you showed them your badge? I was told to get a warrant. The badge itself is not legally binding authority out there. How do you know that Rena confessed that it was Oishiro-sama who did it? There was a nurse I asked in that department. She agreed to help me just for showing her my badge. Then what did she say? Turns out the nurse hadn't heard everything. Apparently all she remembered was she overheard from the inside the room. The nurse said at the time Higarashi was very calmly and well-mannered. It was more like she was confessing her sins at a church than a counseling session. She spoke with her mother there for some of it, but partway through her mother asked to leave, so it became a private counseling session just between the doctor and Rena for a while. The part with Orishiro-sama, when did that pop up? Partway through, she screamed the name suddenly. That startled the nurse, and that's why she started listening. It was Orishiro-sama! Rena suddenly shouted that. I had no idea what was said before that, but I had no idea what the meaning behind it could have been. The doctor calmly and collectedly asked Rena to have a seat. What is this Oyashiro-sama you speak of? Gently, ever so gently, the fundamental of counseling with believing what you were told. Whoever abandons Hinamizawa would be hunted down by Orishiro-sama. And they finally got to me. That's the town you lived in before you moved here, isn't that right, Ryuga-san? I didn't want to move. It was because my mom and dad circumstances we had to. But Orishiro-sama wouldn't allow it. Ryuga must have had lots of friends in Hinamizawa. Even now you miss them dearly, don't you think? I want to go back. Back to Higurashi. No, it's not that I want to go back. I have to go back. I should have gone back much sooner. Now it's too late. Orishiro-sama has come. Orishiro-sama is the name of the isn't that right? Everyone knows it. It's Higurasawa's guardian. If you try to abandon Higurasawa, you'll incur his wrath. You had to quite a while ago, didn't you? Then it was just now that the thought just arrived with you saying? I don't believe you. Orishiro-sama exists. The nurse was then asked by another nurse to do something and left the room. That was all she remembered. That was Orishiro-sama's doing, right? I don't believe there is any kind of superstition in Higurasawa. If you leave the village and incur Orishiro-sama's wrath, you should be familiar with that part of the laws. You knew very well those supported by the village incurred. To hinder the dam construction project, they cursed the construction foreman to his death. Following Urasaga's parents' orders, leading advocates for the dam were cursed to their death. This is the first time I've heard of a curse incurred by leaving the village. This is my first time hearing that. I understand outside threats can be cursed by the village. Why also the villagers who leave? Normally people who leave the village aren't supposed to be cursed, right? I know it's a bit strange to say it, but I can see that as a rule the people who come in are the ones who would be cursed. Far from Jupiter, far from his thunder. Curses weren't something that chases after people that leave, were they? Oishi-san pondered a bit over it on the other end of the receiver and began speaking again. Well, I told you of long ago when Higurashi was called Onikakushi, didn't I recall hearing that. Long ago, Higurashi was feared and respected as the village of ogres. Villagers at the foot of the mountain worshipped the ogres. So Onikakushi was hallowed ground, so you could never enter. The candy said that if you entered carelessly, you were cursed by Orishiro-sama. Those who set foot in Onikakushi, in other words, Higurashi, would be cursed. I can understand that. I know that, but leaving is also to be no good. That's also the ogres, you see. They were being strictly blocked by Orishiro-sama, so they would not enter into the world. In other words, Orishiro-sama probably restricted interactions between Onikakushi and the rest of the world. I see. I understood what sort of thing Orishiro-sama was. So basically, Orishiro-sama was more like a ward than a protector, a deity, I guess, trying to keep the place isolated from the rest of the world. I guess that's how it would seem. Sorry, I don't know very much myself. This is mostly what was passed on to me from my grandmother. I can understand a bit better stuff like that. Those who came to Higurashi would be cursed, those who tried to leave would also be cursed. So, because Rena originally lived in Higurashi and moved away, she filled their apartments from being cursed. So that means Rena moved away against his wishes. She was cursed by Orishiro-sama. So that adds up to, in short, seems to be the point what it points to, I guess. As a matter of fact, as soon as afterwards they moved back to Higurashi after all. Those who abandoned Higurashi were left cursed. But then, why only Rena? Shouldn't Rena's parents also be able to get the same kind of reaction by moving away and having been cursed? Also, in day and age Japan, shouldn't there be a lot of people coming and going? If every single one of them was cursed, then it'd be insane. In reality, it wasn't that big of a deal at all. At most, there'd be one person dying, one person disappearing on the day of Watanugashi. I didn't like saying it at most, though. Well, anyway, there's a lot I still don't know. Even if it was Orishiro-sama's curse, it doesn't add up to why her classmates, the victims who were beaten with a metal bat, wouldn't press charges. You don't think the victims were cowering because they believed in a terrible curse that befall them, do you? Of course, I didn't want to believe it. But more importantly, I had just realized something. There's another bizarre connection that Rena made between Orishiro-sama's curse and the metal bats. Satoshi fell victim to Orishiro-sama's curse and went missing. I had recently learned that Satoshi also became infatuated with the metal bat right before he disappeared, just like me. Then Rena as well. She was affected by Orishiro-sama's curse. She confessed that much to the doctor. And the weapon she used at the time of that horrendous act was, again, a metal bat. And finally me. I encountered various things that were inexplicable, and now I'm holding on to a metal bat. I was shocked when I learned Satoshi did the same thing. It couldn't be. Had the same thing happened to Rena? There's one critical difference between her and Satoshi's case. That being, Satoshi went missing after falling victim at first, but Rena is still here. Both of them fallen victim to Oishiro-sama's curse, but yet they were met with different endings. And finally me. I couldn't call it coincidence anymore. Rena, Satoshi, and finally me. Could it be I was really under Oishiro-sama's curse right now? And more importantly than that, what should I do now? Satoshi had been deemed away with vanishing without a trace. Rena was fine. Fine? Question mark. Rena had undergone a change. I couldn't believe there was something that wasn't Rena residing within her. And here, right now, it's standing before me. So glad we're done with that inner monologue. Rena, please tell me, what will happen to me? Rena stood imposingly, not answering.
Satoshi disappeared. But Rena didn't disappear.
So will happen to me. I've never heard such an unpleasant laugh before. It had become akin to the sound of her breathing. It was no longer a voice or an expression of feeling.
Don't worry, I'll save you.
Rena took one step forward, still holding the axe high above her head. Now then, one step closer, Rena's face spread out to fill my vision. Speak. One step closer. Rena's nose was close enough to touch mine, but was still.
There's something more to say, isn't there? I'll listen. I'll save you, okay? Speak, okay? Speak, okay?
I slumped down squarely on my butt. It wasn't for some pathetic reason. It was all I could do to get far away from Rena. Not laugh at all that. No, thank you. I had a gut feeling I couldn't let her laughter end. Because when that laughing ended, the moment I picked up on that feeling, my body moved by instinct. I sprang to my feet so fast I couldn't believe it and pushed Rena away with both hands. Rena was light as a feather. Thrown by the unbalanced weight of the axe, she was sent backwards, as if she'd been carried off by the wind. After confirming that it was out of sight of my eye, I dashed off at full speed. I was the perfect picture of fleeing like a greased pig. Get away from Rena. Run away. Survive. I couldn't think of anything other than this. While I was running, I remembered I was holding onto a bat the whole entire time. Such a worthless weapon. I couldn't believe I'd forgotten about this weapon at such an important time. I sped further down the winding path. I didn't even feel myself gasping for breath or my legs getting heavy. My body understood it as well. If I didn't run away from here, I wouldn't live. I could hear the laughter of that simulacrum of Rena coming from behind me. I rang through the trees, and my head slowly chiseled away at my sanity. The groves of trees thinned out, my field of vision suddenly expanding. Where was this? For a moment I was bewildered by the scenery. Felt like I knew I couldn't quite remember. I quickly realized it was the dam site. The fact I dashed madly and ended up in a place that gave me such a bad feeling was like following someone else's scripted plot. I had a good view of my surroundings, but I didn't see a single soul here. This was a terrible spot for someone who was running. There was no better place for an attacker. My heart was already on the verge of bursting. The muscles in my legs were screaming, but I didn't care. If I stopped here, then they might not even be able to scream much longer. Even still, I glanced looking for an excuse to rest. Rena wasn't there. Instead, I saw two villagers walking around. I breathed a sigh of relief it wasn't Rena, but a third party. Except the voices inside me rang the alarm once again. Wait, voices? What? The villagers walking around were suspicious and of themselves, but it bothered me. They both wore rough-looking clothes. Empty-handed, they definitely gave the impression they were just out for a walk. But at this time of day, two adults wandering around without purpose, it was enough to raise questions. More than anything else, those eyes. They weren't chit-chatting while they were walking. They were both silent, heading forward, looking in my direction. I was at the end of my rope. I'd finally started imagining things. I should run away. That was probably the best choice. If they weren't involved, I'd lose them easily by running. If they were part of a group after me, then they would just come running after me. Either way, unless I hurried, Brenna would catch up with me. That's right, I was going to run. Deciding that, the moment I began to turn tail, both of them rushed towards me as if they knew exactly what I was thinking. Somewhere inside me, I had jumped to the conclusion that Brenna was the only thing I needed to be afraid of. I made the assumption that I didn't need to fear anything else. Right now I realize how blatantly wrong I was. Something the story of Uichi-san told me about the demons all over the village hunting prey floated through my mind. I could tell they were both coming after me without even turning around because of their frenetic footsteps. It was frightening, being unable to shake off Brenna as she slowly closed in on me, but this didn't even compare. Being pursued with such violent ferocity, this straightforward horror was unparalleled. One of the pursuers' arms grazed my shoulder. Now, it wasn't just their frenzied footsteps, but also the distinct sound of their breathing that I could hear. No, I could practically feel them breathing on me. They were already right behind me. Calm down, Keiichi Mahabara. Still running at full tilt, I felt the surrounding area go still. No, it just felt like time had stopped. I turned my head back slightly and that first moment realized how close my pursuers got to me. I couldn't win against the likes of an adult. In less than the time it takes to blink twice when this person might begin moving in, they'd be right on top of me. On top of me, and then... Don't think about that, Keiichi. First realize you won't be able to shake them off like this. If I can't get away with it, get in with it. You need to make a decision. Go with the right leg, or go with the left. Because you decide which one. Let's go with the left. The moment I decide that, the moral singularity burst into pieces. Right, left. I swung the bat. Wide arc with my right arm. Using its inertia, I stopped and suddenly spun. What? The two of them clearly startled. Momentarily losing sight of me, both of their outstretched arms ready to grab and said, grasped at empty air. The man on the right, I applauded for being able to figure it out, spun around to the spot I should have been in case of me in astonishment. But it was too late. I didn't need to swing my bat. All I could do was extend my arms as I turned around. It was by no means a heavy blow, but it seemed like it had enough power behind it to knock him off his feet. But just knocking him down wasn't enough to scare him away. He got back up in no time. Both of them took a fighting stance and were ready to face me. This made me certain they weren't just two people out for a walk, they were clearly after me. It felt much easier than dealing with Brenna. Just not by recognizing their faces, by not knowing them, it made things easier. I smelled Riley inside. What do you want with me? Next one's going to be right in your face, you bastard. It's fine if it was just a bluff. By barking out at them, I was able to fire. They didn't respond. They spread out to either side of me with unbelievable confident expressions on their face. One of them would grab onto my bat, the other would hold me down. Was that their plan? Taking on both of them at once would be impossible. Hot sweat poured from every pore of my body, and I just had to settle it with the first move. Oh. My buddy's playing Team Next Machina. That game. I just had to settle down with the first move. I'll step in and break the first one down. Narrowing my target down to the man on the right, who had already been knocked down before, I stepped in and swung with all my might. There's no way for an unarmed person to guard against it, but it would cause immense damage. To block with their arm, their bones would snap like a twig. If they turned their back to it, it would be impossible for that blow to travel all the way through their vital organs. I think he was aware of this. Push further around the kill zone between us, blood punch right to my gut. Not good with this distance, this position, this state. There's no way for me to dodge it. Okay, Chikun. The world flipped up its down. I understood that I was being tossed around like a rag doll. I landed on the soft earth without a sound, feeling the grain soil pressed into my face. It didn't hurt at all. But the moment I thought that, I suddenly felt pain coming from aberrations on my skin, as well as contents of my stomach being forced upward, flooding my mouth with this bitter sensation. I knew very well I didn't have time to relish this experience. I stood up quickly as I could, but at that moment the other man was already barreling towards me. Being able to comprehend calmly that I simply couldn't dodge made it all the more upsetting. I climbed into my stomach full force once again, my assailant twisted me around behind me, and locked his thick arms around my neck. My throat felt like it was being crushed by his immense strength. I couldn't even contemplate I was being strangled or was about to go unconscious. My vision simply darkened and a silent whining noise began to play inside my mind. It took everything I could to catch myself from blacking out. But this was happening. The other man was more than likely standing in front of me. I wasn't able to open my eyes, but I could feel he was there. There was nothing I could do now. I was able to shake this arm off me. I couldn't run. I couldn't fight back. Dire straits. I couldn't even come up with a phrase that adequately described my situation. Okay, man. You are boned. Narrator. Hello. What the? What's going on? A familiar ceiling. The smell of the bedpillows, I knew them well. Was this my room? Normally there wouldn't be anyone in my room besides me, but their presence just made me spring wide awake. When did that pain shot out my entire body?
Feeling alright? I think you better lie down for a bit.
Why was Rena in my room? Blood began to surge through my muscles and capillaries. The Rena's smile belonged to the Rena I knew well. I knew I shouldn't let myself feel this way, but I relaxed thinking this was Rena.
Don't you remember?
After losing consciousness, nothing at all. My body had become more lethargic than I could have ever imagined. I guess that would be the expected outcome after exerting everything I had back there. I tried to at least clear my head, but I just couldn't shake the sluggish feeling out of my mind.
I called the doctor. He should be here soon. I think you better lie down until then.
I wasn't injured seriously enough to merit calling a doctor, but knowing that someone impartial was coming was slightly reassuring.
Why am I here? I was sure I was at the damn site. That's what I want to know. What happened? When I got there, Keiichi-kun was already passed out.
That's why I'm the one who wants to know. I was attacked by two weirdos. As I talked about it, I finally remembered what happened right before I passed out. Recalling that memory and the terror that went along with it caused the fogginess in my head to clear up right away.
Let's forget about those two for now.
I didn't expect Rena to be nursing me. I thought Rena was trying to kill me. She would have had the perfect chance while I was unconscious. Not only did she not kill me, she nursed me back to health. Amazing you could drag me all the way back here. Wasn't I heavy? Looking at Rena's delicate frame, it was hard to believe she had not only got me back home, but even dragged me all the way to the second floor. Did she have some help?
Don't you remember Keiichi-kun?
Rena appeared a bit surprised, but still kept smiling.
I only propped you up with my shoulder. You said you could walk on your own, that you were fine. You don't remember?
I don't remember. My memory was fuzzy after the point where I lost consciousness. What about those two, huh? What do you got here, Rena? The ones with me, rather than those two guys.
There wasn't anyone.
She said it bluntly. The way she stated it felt slightly unpleasant. I was just too timid at that time. I might have been able to force some answers out of Rena. If I did that, I think this Rena might transform into the scary Rena who I didn't know. Fearing that, I didn't press any further. Thinking about it, it was the obvious choice. If both those men were there, I don't think Rena would have even stood a chance. I couldn't find a way to explain it unless I assumed she brought me here after those two had already gone. Rena was still smiling, her eyes sparkling warmly, yet I felt like I was hallucinating when I saw something akin to a shadow slowly breaking across her face. That small moment sent shivers down my spine. When Rena was still Rena, I need to make contact. I need to contact Oishi-san. Rena stopped me when I tried to get out of bed. She said it would aggravate my wounds, so I should sleep. I'd like to go to the bathroom, though.
Sorry.
Rena couldn't say anything else. While Rena's staying in the room, I quickly went to the downstairs to get the phone receiver in the living room. When I approached the front door, the doorbell rang. It must have been the doctor that Rena had called. Strange for a patient to welcome the doctor who's making a house call, but it was incredibly reassuring to have him here, considering it would take time take Oishi-san to get here. I carelessly opened the door with that simple assumption and regretted almost immediately. But Mion! Oh, you look fine. I heard you collapse so I can check on you. How did you know I collapsed? I heard it from Rena over the phone. Do I need any reason other than that? I understood why she would call a doctor, but why Mion too? Rena was descending down the stairs behind me. Rena, doesn't K-chan look pretty alright? Shishi made me worry over nothing. That's true. Maybe I was worried for nothing, though. They both began laughing. It appeared to be a cheerful laughter. I couldn't shake the feeling there was a darkness looming over them. Well, what's up that shoe rack? How did they get like this? The shoe rack had smashed pieces have been like this since yesterday. I fell, you see, and the bat I was holding at the time slammed into it. This is what happens when you swing something you're not used to handling. I kept the fact it was none of her business to myself. But leaving it like this is really startle your parents when they get home.
I'll fix that for you later.
Now, come on, Kei-chan. The terminally ill need their rest. Come on, back to bed, back into bed. Both of them urged me back upstairs. I had no choice but to call Oishi-san. I was pushed into my bed. As the first time Mion had been in my room, she began searching around it intently. She traveled around my room and was scolded by Rena. You can imagine how it went. It's not uncomfortable having my room poked around, but the conversation was so benign it was heartwarming. During that instant conversation, Mion said something that was perfectly ordinary. Rena, did you call the manager? Yep. Right after I called Nichan. He said he'd be right over. Manager? ? That out-of-place word gave me a bad feeling. Rena called a doctor, then called Mion. Then after that she called a manager? Who is this manager? Since Rena and Mion's conversation was so peaceful, it only felt slightly odd. What are you two talking about? Who's this manager? Didn't you know, Kei-chan? When we meet the manager, we say, manager. Like the director in a movie. Or like a foreman of a construction site. Oh shit. I dug through my memories for a manager who might have business with me. Only one thing came to mind, what Rena had just said. The construction site foreman. The very first victim of the first incident, the dismemberment at the damn construction site, the foreman? But that was strange. He was supposed to be dead. There's no way they could call him. I don't understand what you guys are talking about. What does the manager have to do with me? You said he was coming. Do you mean my house? I asked one obvious question after another. But there's a huge difference between how the two of them were appeared and how my suspicions were playing out. Slowly I felt discomfort and panic welled up inside me. I couldn't understand what Ren and Mion were talking about. Kei-chan, you've gotten baseball lately, haven't you? Pretty sure the manager would be happy to hear that. So who is this manager? The manager is the manager. Who is this manager? Rena and Mion looked at each other and laughed haughtily. That disturbing cackle unpleasantly resounded around me. That laugh, long enough to be unsettling, ended abruptly. Oh yeah, we should finish up before the manager comes. You don't remember, do you, Kei-chan? Her face was laughing. Mion's eyes told a different story. Remember what? Keiichi-kan? Kun, had he forgotten, I wonder? About the penalty. About the penalty? Did you really forget the homework with the mochi? The homework where you're supposed to guess which one Rena made? You forgot about that homework, didn't you? I certainly did have that homework, but I'd thrown away the rest of the mochi after I found out that sewing needle. So I wasn't able to answer which one was Rena made. The penalty for that? Why now? Oh no. No doubt. My question was written all over my face. The answer to my question was that dry laughter. You can no longer make heads or tails of anything. I began to think this entire day was somehow insane, strange, incomprehensible. Being chased by Rena, attacked by strange men, the penalty Mion and Rena were talking about. There's a lot of cute girl laughing that I just cannot replicate, guys. What were these two laughing at? Didn't take long for me to realize I had been dragged into an abnormal situation. Who were these two? Who were these people? Who were these doppelgangers of Rena and Mion? Rena had gotten behind me at some point. Why she was pinning my arms behind my back? What are you doing? Don't move! This is your penalty. My body was already very sluggish, and Rena had my arms pinned, making it very hard to move. I seriously tried to struggle, but she wouldn't even budge. My panic began to well up as I realized this was well beyond the realm of jokes and pleasantries. This freakishly monstrous strength would have been possible for Rena that I knew, that these thin, frail arms grasped me firmly. Whose arms were they? Kei-chan, no struggling. Love rules, there's only no exceptions. You can't fight against the penalty. Mion, no, that thing that looked like Mion spoke to me like how Mion would speak to me. But I was certain this was not Mion. Someone who wasn't Mion, someone who was just pretending to be Mion. He finished stuff with the manager guns. Mion fished in her pocket and pulled out something bizarre. I couldn't tell what it was just by looking for certain such a thing in her pocket. My mind wouldn't accept it. What is that? It was a small syringe. It has a small, clear syringe, like what a doctor would use when you went to him when you were sick. Maybe to get a certain shot. Rena held me even tighter, and I could hear the clattering laughter no longer sounded like laughter blaring in my ears. That eerie laughter, it wasn't something that Rena I knew could ever produce on her in her own throat. This thing that was pretending to be Rena, is their real laugh? Unable to defend myself, the syringe Mion was holding her closer, and that needle tip was waved in front of my face countless times. Don't worry, it won't hurt, What are you planning to do? What kind of sick joke is this? What are you saying, Kei-chan? You know exactly what's going on, don't you? About what? I don't understand any of this at all. I know you will... No use playing the fool this late in the game. Stop talking nonsense and try to confuse me. You're going to have done to you what happened to Tomitake-san. What? The same as Tomitake-san? I don't understand what she meant. What did that have to do with the syringe? You're playing dumb, Keiichi-kun. You should have realized it by now. Rena whispered in my ear, laughing as if to admonish me. But even the way she spoke was repulsive beyond compare. Playing dumb? Me? What about? What do you mean the same as Tomitake-san? He can't. Rena's pinning her. Keiichi wishes he could run away. Everyone thought at first it was hit and run. Except when the officer got a close search and checked he was still alive, he soon noticed it wasn't a normal situation at all. His throat was scratched out. From a knife or something? No. Nails. Nails? Nails isn't fingernails? But those gouged through? That's right. Tomitake-san had clawed his own throat out with his own nails and died. There's no way someone could die like that. So then for that to happen, we thought drugs were to blame. Nothing of that nature was detected. That's right. The police didn't find any drugs in Tomitake-san's system. The police told me they didn't find any drugs in Tomitake-san's body. The two of them laughed together with that sickening laughter. Of course they'd laugh. To assume such a medicine didn't exist just because the police didn't know about it was complete foolishness. Meaning, the drug that had caused Tomitake-san to die in such a bizarre manner did exist. If Mion injected this into me, then that would be probably all the proof I needed. That would basically mean I'd end up just the same as Tomotake's-san. Become hysterical, scratching out my throat with my last moments, then die. For such an outrageous drug to exist, for Mion to be holding it, and I was about to be injected with it, at that moment I didn't feel like there was any need whatsoever to question it. What kind of idiot, when he's trying to dodge a ball flying straight in his face, had time to think about reasoning as to why it's flying at him? Just give up.
All right, then.
Mion's actions lacked any gravitas, and it made it even more terrifying. There is none of the ceremony like when someone is sentenced to death. There is no hesitation at all, as if she were brushing her teeth. Mion reached out with one hand and grabbed onto my chest. It felt like electricity had run through the back of my head and the entire world had gone dark. Did I stand up too fast, or did someone hit me really hard in the back of the head? Having lost my sense of balance, I was assaulted by a wave of dizziness. I think we're getting the bad ending, guys. Probably, considering this is part 1 of 8. But at least we're all at the end of the first arc. I squatted down for an entire bit. When I came back to my senses, my entire room had changed drastically. The numbness in my head was gone, and slowly I could tell blood was flowing out of my extremities again. How long have I been squatting here? How many minutes? Or had it been hours? It's almost as if the hands on the clock had stopped moving the entire time my eyes were closed. That's how little time had passed. Really? The air in the room hadn't filled with this madness from before, only a dull silence. Rena wasn't there pinning my arms, and Mion wasn't there to inject me with a needle. No way. Could it be? All of it was a hallucination? There was no other presence in my room besides my own. It was the weirdest experience I'd ever had. I was certainly with Rena and Mion. I doubted my sanity for a moment, but there was also a seized with some sort of comfort. I guess that terrible ordeal was a hallucination? Neither Rena nor Mion, they wouldn't ever do something so terrible. My head grew hot. I could tell my emotions were welling up. Why? That wasn't a reason to cry. Why? It was sorrow. Why was I sad? I don't understand. I don't understand. Kind to everyone, not discriminating against age or gender? Mion? That Mion was sprawled by the window in an unnatural pose. Blood stained her deep red from head down to her chest. The bright crimson spears on the wall that splattered had undoubtedly come from Mion. She always had that bright smile and was kind to me from the day I transferred. Rena? That same Rena was slumped at my feet, was making the same pool of blood as Mion. I couldn't comprehend what was happened. Did someone come to save me? They beat these two down with this metal bat? I finally noticed the weight in my right hand. How long had it been there? It was Satoshi's metal bat. It was covered in a deep red. There's no doubt this was the weapon used to mutilate both of them. And I was holding that weapon. I was the only person in this house. Looking at this objectively, I couldn't think of anyone other than myself who could have done it. I did this. That's right. KT Marabara. Of course I did it. I told myself gently as if coaxing myself. Hey, me. There's no reason for you to remember it, nor is there any need to regret it. Eat or be eaten. You get that, don't you? But the blood. There's so much. Neither Rena nor Mion had moved an inch. It wasn't just the split forehead and the trickle of blood, nothing that simple. The entire room was splattered with red. That totally didn't end with just 2 or 3 strikes. Were they dead? Both of them? The depths of my mind were calm, but on the surface I was panicking and agitated. Calm down, KT Marabara. What happened to your usual calm self? Come on now. Do you like always But do you like always do? Throw your head back and take a deep breath. Come on. Once, twice, breathe deeply. Calm down, calm down. I chant that over in my head, relaxed. Color came back to my vision and smells reinfused the air. At the same time, I remember what happened when I blacked out. Rena and Mion had attacked me. They were about to inject me with whatever caused that same symptom as Takatake-san. Right before that happened, I pulled back. I twisted my whole body and threw Rena as she was pinning my arms. Then I followed through with my spin and ran my foot as hard as I could into Mion's torso. It was soft. Rena tried jumping on me. I tackled her as hard as I could and slammed her against the wall. I didn't let that brief moment of having them off balance slip by. Satoshi's death that was left carelessly by my side of my desk. Weep. At that moment, everything went pitch black. There was nothing recorded past this point in the videotape of my mind. No, that wasn't right. It wasn't that there was nothing recorded. It recorded just fine. The other me inside myself had told me not to look and had turned off the TV. Because the screen had gone black and I couldn't see it, didn't mean the videotape with me hadn't recorded it. The TV was just off. The video was still playing. The tape within me creaking along was still playing. On the other end of that pitch black screen, the horrifying video was still playing. Compare this to thou. This scene right before my eyes was so difficult to take in. There was blood spattered everywhere on the walls, 2 of them in these unnatural poses. No sign of movement from them. I couldn't even tell if they were breathing. No matter what the circumstances were, my friends, these girls, I had attacked them. I may have even killed them. I'm pretty sure they're dead. Very dead. If I hadn't done this, I would have been the one done for. Balance that out on the imaginary scale, it felt odd that I'd even feel bad about it. Even if it was a bit excessive, this was justifiable self-defense. The proof was all here. The 2 of them collapsed here. Mion's syringe filled some unknown drug that would certainly solve the mystery surrounding the incident with Watanugashi-san. And the fact that both of these 2 were involved. They'd be able to pick out the criminals one after the other. Still, I might have been suspected for this, but that was just fine. Now, anyway, this should be a police affair. This wouldn't fade in darkness like Rena's past instance. As long as police were involved, this should bring this to a close. They'll probably revisit their investigation on the chain of events. Alicia would definitely get to the bottom of it. Meaning my wish of not wanting to die, of wanting to know the truth, that would be fulfilled in its most basic form. It was all a matter of time now. The doctor Rena called should be getting here soon. I'll confess everything to him. I need to contact Oishi-san. At that moment, I remembered. Besides the doctor, a manager had been called. It's easy to imagine they were someone deeply involved with the incidents, judging from Rena and Mion's conversations. The ache in my chest caused by the gruesome deed I'd done dissipated rapidly. It was not over yet. This place was no longer safe. Stay calm, Keiichi Mabar. It's not over yet. I need to live long enough to tell the police this incident. At that moment, I felt like there was someone else's voice from outside. Since people were speaking, it must mean there was more than one person. I moved the curtain ever so slightly and peered outside. It was a bizarre sight. About 4 or 5 grown men were gathered at the gate. They very much resembled the 2 men that attacked me at the dam site today. Those 2 might have been among them. There's one person there wearing a white coat. But he didn't look like a doctor at all. My gut told me he was in disguise, only posing as a doctor. That guy would probably ring the doorbell and get me to open the front door, pretend to be a doctor, get me to open the door, and the rest of them would rush in at once. At that moment, I saw a car parked behind the men. My heart skipped a beat. The white van. Yes, the one that nearly ran over a session or 2 ago. No mistaking, that van, the one that tried to run me down, the man in the white coat, entered the the gate, head toward the front door. The rest of the men hid in the bushes and watched him. I probably couldn't pretend I wasn't home. Undoubtedly, they'd just break the window and enter. I need to get out of here somehow, then use a public phone to contact Luigi's-san, then meet up somewhere. First of all, I need a weapon, and shoes. But for all that, there's one thing I had to do. I had no intention of dying. I'd live and reveal the truth of this nonsense first of Orishiro-sama. What would happen from here on, regardless of how sure I was, may bring about my demise, and that was why there's one thing more important than getting out of here right now. I need to get that clock out quickly and take the note hidden behind it. Damn it, the tape was sticking to it too fast. It'd be fine if it tore a little. I opened up slightly torn note and began writing another passage with ballpoint pen. If I wasn't able to inform Oishi-san, then only the thing I could rely on was this note. I thought a piece of torn college-ruled notebook paper could be so reliable before. I had no time. I only write what I knew right now. I need to leave some sort of information that would lead them to uncover the truth. Ren and Miyoung were conspirators of the perpetrators. This was an undeniable fact. I still didn't want to believe it, but it was fact. Anyway, I'd leave all this information that would help them lead to find the perpetrators. There are 4 or 5 adults, maybe more. They have a white van. This is everything I could see from the window. There may be more. Also, there was an unidentified person known as the manager. To begin with, the term manager didn't even mesh with Hinamizawa at all. If they were going to include managers from past incidents, then the only one is the construction foreman, the victim of the first murder. The very first victim in the chain of events. Killed in lynching, his body divided into 6 pieces. His right arm was never discovered. The police should have confirmed that death. But Ren and Miyoung did both call him manager. They said manager. They wouldn't use that term to refer to someone who was dead. The police would never conceive that someone who was deceased could be involved. Could that be some sort of oversight? I didn't know. But even if I didn't know, it'd be a big hint for Oishi-san. That's right. They need to start fresh from the first instant. It wasn't just the simple dismemberment, but the start of the string of a mysterious death that would follow. So then there must be something hidden there. Please reinvestigate the victim from the dismemberment incident. He's alive. His death should have been established after an autopsy. Logically, as you would think, but was that really the case? Could have been some sort of ploy that they were used to deceive the police with. I couldn't jump to conclusions, but he may still be alive. I had no time to ponder that right now. Oh yeah, there's something even more important I need to write. Takuchi-san's death was from an unknown drug. That's right. That drug was irreplaceable piece of evidence. No judges having this, everything would have been uncovered. I couldn't just leave the vital clue laying on the floor. This syringe is proof. Writing that down, I stuck the syringe onto the back of the clock with plenty of tape. So it absolutely would not slip out and fall onto the floor firmly. Ding dong. Bell ringing! They were here. I couldn't write anymore. But even still, there's one last thing I had to write. I have no idea why it became like this. This might be the closest thing to the truth out of everything I wrote on this note. If you're reading this, then I'm probably already dead. They may or not find my body. I'm going to write out everything that could happen. Either dying from the curse, or being demoned away. You who are reading this, please uncover the truth. That is my only desire. With that, my last will and testament was complete. I wasn't certain I was going to die, but it was my final plea, just in case. I folded the note, stuck it to the back of the clock, turned the clock back to its unusual spot, and helped me pray. Something asked me to leave the rest to you. After that, I gazed silently at Ren and Miyoung. It's probably the last time I'd ever see each other. Ren and Miyoung. I really had thought all of us were friends. Why did it end up like this? I never had any fun in my previous school. I only worried about standardized test scores about the school I hoped to get into was where I really wanted to go for a safety net. That was all I talked about. It was a dull life. The people I called friends were also my rivals in studying. Competitions, personal records, standardized test scores. Everyone here taught me how unhealthy that lifestyle was. This month was really fun, making a fuss over love, making a fuss over club, making a fuss over the festival. Something hot began to drip on my face full of tears. I should not have no obligation to shed tears for them, but they wouldn't stop. Even after my life, they were trying to kill me. Everything that happened this month, I wouldn't forget. Or could it be those happy days were all a facade as well? Was it all a trap, meticulously orchestrated until today to ensnare me? Could have been that I was arbitrarily assumed they were my friends. That couldn't have been the case. Both Ren and Miyoung, they really were my friends. Those happy days, there's nothing fake or unclear about them. Someone probably forced them to kill me. Or their minds were taken or possessed by some supernatural entity known as Koishiro summon. Regardless, both Ren and Mion, they were the best friends ever. And when they were coming after me, it wasn't of their own volition. Wait, they weren't the kind of people to sell off their friends, regardless of whether or not they were forced. No such thing as being possessed by Oshiro summon could happen in reality. Then did the real Ren and Mion come after me? What was I thinking? What a silly, dumb idea. When we named both Ren and Mion, I was still debating if they were real ones or fakes. There's no real or fake. Only the reality that was before me. Ren and Mion sprawled out at my feet. That was the only truth. I was only trying to twist the facts to benefit. I'd beat my friends to death. No matter how I spun it, it wouldn't change the reality. Ren and Mion were both dead. It felt like there was a crack in the dam of strange emotions I was holding back. I felt like my calm state, which was nothing more than a flood that receded, that opening insanity was leaking out. I killed them. I killed them. Ren and Mion, I killed them. The doorbell rang again. The unrelenting echo pulled me back into the state of composure once again. I didn't have a moment to spare. I quickly needed to get away. I didn't want to die. I would uncover everything after that. The identity of whoever or whatever pushed me this far. If I had to drink mud and eat grass, I would survive. I would survive. I would definitely survive. I killed Rena for that very reason. I killed Mion. I went that far just to keep living, so I can't die. For my sake, for the sake of the late Rena and Mion, I have to survive. I ran towards the door and grabbed my shoes. The doorbell rang again as if to urge me on. Behind the single solitary door, they were there. Keeping quiet, I head toward the kitchen. Head toward the back door. Before opening the back door, I put my ear to it and checked for people outside. No one. Put on my shoes, I opened the door slowly as if not to make a sound. There he is, the back door! A piercing voice echoed out. That voice stabbed through me, setting my hair on end. I had to run. Get out of here, Keiichi. One after the other, I felt stuff like rationale and intelligence. Those things you use when you have time to spare spill out of me. I didn't feel any pain from the branches and scratches my arms and forehead. My autonomously pulsing heart so felt neither fatigue nor pain. My entire being was just wish to live. There was nothing else it desired. Probably no complaints whatsoever. So of course I wouldn't feel fatigue. I just ran. Just recklessly, rushing in a direction I was already heading. Even if nobody was chasing after me, I'd still be running like this. There wasn't a thought in my mind about where I was headed. Turning around, I felt a presence right next to me. That presence was without a doubt chasing me. It took even one misstep, I would be devoured. That's what I thought. So I didn't turn around. I didn't stop. I ran. At full speed. Quack, 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 quack. There's the chirping the Higarashi's telling me it was evening. Trying to tell me something, and then I finally heard it. The wailing cry of victims who didn't make it. Would I be joining them? Quack, 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 quack. Only the Higarashi knew. They knew everything. They definitely knew. So I ran towards where I could hear more of the Higarashi chirps. The further I ran, the further away their chirping became. I couldn't get near them. Why are you all running away? Was it my fault? Was I the one to blame? And I'll apologize. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. This goes on for a bit. Oh, I'm sorry. Only the Higarashi knew. The smoking room was filled with clouds of cigarette smoke. The extensive smoke filtered off some crackling electric noise. It didn't seem like it was doing anything. Why do smokers have to be shoved so far down this corridor where the sun didn't even reach? Hearing that the tax revenue from tobacco was a tenth of the municipality's revenue. We were so heavily taxed members of the municipality, I really wish they'd show us a little more respect. Why would you discard 5 Monzo like that? It's just decreasing your options. One of the younger detectives was having a staring contest with Mahjong magazine next week. You're still in 10 pay if you cut 5 Monzu. If you're betting on Hayato, you shouldn't be going into it with Mangan. Kuma-chan, look at the pawn. They all discarded 5 Monzu. It's a safe tile. You'd hate it if, at the end of the game, someone was sitting on a 10 pie in the last turn, wouldn't you? The kid let out a groan, put out a cigarette, then took out another one. I just don't agree. Why would you reduce your own options? By the way, you could call Ron without your winning tile and at a high date. Wait, why is that? Just then I heard a voice coming from down the hall. Are you here, Oishi-san? I have a call from a civilian. Oh, ain't that something? Well, see you later. Why can't you call Ron on it? I hold on for a second, Oishi-san. The man sitting in the seat Oishi-san was heading towards with the telephone receiver. Outside line, from a payphone. Why, thank you. Sorry to keep you waiting. This is Oishi. Who is this? Oishi-san. Hello. Visit Mabara-san. Why, good evening. From the tone of Mabara-san's voice, I already knew he was in a predicament. The first time Mabara-san had phoned me, he was calling from a payphone. Please calm down. Did something happen? His voice was erratic over the line. He had completely lost his sense of composure. After checking to see if nobody else could hear, I prompted him in a hushed tone. What happened? Calm down, Mabara-san. I can have the local officers head to your location. I'll be there soon, too. I think that's impossible. His voice was quivering and hoarse. He wasn't surrounded by people, even if he was making his call. Was he? Mabara-san, you're calling from payphone right now, right? Where's that payphone? The familiar sound was out of Mabara's voice. It had to be just the phone scratched out a note, pressed it to my colleague, and sitting across from me. He was at a phone booth. He understood quickly and hastily started the internal line. Calm down, Mabara-san. What is your current situation? It wasn't a good idea to tell someone panicking to do so, but this was not a usual case. Mabara-san didn't get into any trouble to get away, and then called me back. He was in the midst of something dangerous right now. I'm yelling at Mabara-kun right now, so he just needs needlessly cause him to be more frantic. Mabara-kun wasn't just calling to seek help. He was trying to tell me something more than that. Whatever that was, if I don't get it from this call, I'm certain it would never have a chance again. My colleague pushed a note in front of me. There's only one booth in Hinamizawa. The patrol car is on its way. In 5 minutes. That's too long! How many officers are there? 2. Not enough. It was just as I imagined. There's likely quite a few people surrounding Mabara-kun. 5 minutes was too long. Did you call the officer station in Hinamizawa? He's scheduled to be on patrol. They're currently out. It's impossible to contact them. God damn it! Kuma-chan, bring the car around! Understood. Hello? Oishi-san? Hello? Yes, it's alright. I can hear you loud and clear. There's something wrong with Mabara-kun. Was it a normal coughing sound? Vomiting? Or was it blood? He already been attacked? Was he injured? Mabara-san! The police are on their way! They'll be there in a couple minutes, so hold on somehow. Hello? Can you hear me? Mabara-san! I could hear the other end of the line that he was still having a coughing fit. The worst possible situation popped up in my head. Mabara-san! Who is the culprit? How many are there? That was awful. The vomiting. Are you alright, Mabara-san? The culprit was a person. Nothing to share this curse. Up until right now, but I guess, yeah. It was the intense bout of coughing and vomiting, but I guess it's your son. Yes, it's no ease here. Mabara-san, please calm down. I have been thinking it was strange for a while now. Following me this whole time. I run and run and run. It still sticks to me like my shadow. So slowly. It's taking itself in my back. Are they right now, perhaps right behind you? Behind me? Right behind me? Please, Mabara-san. I can tell you're scared. Please. Who is this? Right behind you. I can't. If I do, I understand you're scared. But please tell me. You just need to turn around a bit. Who is it? Who is behind you, Mabara-san? Right after I said that, I could hear him vomiting intensely. A followed was a nightmarish sound. Mabara-san, it could be that you're clogging up your own throat. There was no answer. I could hear something like scratching. There was a bang as if something was being hit. My bar probably dropped the receiver. I could hear the groaning and the vomiting over the other end, repeating an abnormal sound. Hello, hello, Mabara-san, hello! I knew how far away my voice could sound on the other end. I couldn't help but shout. But at the moment, I heard a whispering coming from the other end. I couldn't tell what he was saying. The way he was saying it, he was talking to himself. He was talking to someone there. Hello, Mabara-san! Rather than whispering, it was some kind of mantra he was chanting over and over. I focused my senses trying to pick what he was saying. What was he repeating? What exactly? Beep. Suddenly the line went dead. Did he use up his time? It was because it was a payphone. But it cut out so abruptly. The last thing he said came out so clearly in my mind. Oishi-san, the car is good to go. Oishi-san. It was. I'm sorry. Oishi-san. That's what he was repeating over and over. He said, I'm sorry. I had a gut feeling. There's no longer need to hurry. I could hear the chirping of the Higarashi spilling out from the open window. I could have been able to hear them this entire... I should have been able to hear them this entire... I just wasn't paying attention. Why did I focus on them all of a sudden? Were they trying to tell me something? Only Higarashi knew. That's how I felt. July 1983. In Hinazawa, a remote village near Shishibone City, there was a murder involving 2 female students. The suspect is Katie Barbara, age 15. The suspect called over his 2 female classmates, Rina Ryuga and Yuna Tanizaki, to his house and beat them to death with a metal bat. The scene of the crime was the suspect's room on the 2nd floor of his house. The inside of the room is covered in significant quantities of splattered blood. There was also signs of struggle with the victims. In addition to the scene, the crime, the entryway, living room, and kitchen all had traces of a struggle. At the entryway, a shoe rack and wall had been evidence of being impacted by a strong blunt force. Believed to have been the same bat used as the murder weapon. There was no trace of blood on it. It's believed that the destruction occurred before the murders. There is the possibility the suspect overpowered his victims to keep them from fleeing. In the living room, the rug had been pulled back and thrown aside. Hard to believe this had a connection with the struggle with victims, and thus the reason for this remains unknown. In the kitchen, the garbage bag was torn apart and contents were spread on the floor. Garbage was thrown about in the surrounding area, and handpicked leaves belonging to the suspect were discovered. The suspect, for reasons, taken out the garbage and struck with his fists. The reason for this remains unknown. In addition, there was a note stuck to the fridge. The words, "Was there a needle?" was written on it. The meaning behind this remains unclear. But the needle was not discovered. Just in case the garbage was searched, the needle wasn't discovered. The garage door was functional and had left open ever since the suspect moved in. The garage door was found closed. The suspect's fingerprints were discovered in the garage door. The reason why this remains unknown. The suspect fled the scene of the crime. However, patroller officer Hinazawa local PD found the suspect in the booth. Upon discovery, the suspect was unconscious in critical condition. He was rushed to the local hospital for treatment, but did not regain consciousness and died 24 hours later. The result of the autopsy indicated the immediate cause of death had been hypovolemic shock. It was determined the suspect had clawed at his own throat with his fingernails, resulting in bleeding caused his death. With similarities to the death of Fumitake-san the prior week, believe there is a connection and have opened an investigation. However, due to the wishes of the local authorities, it will be a confidential investigation. Due to the abnormal nature of the death, it was suspected that drugs were used, but with all the prompting that remained inexplicable, as such, this case has been treated as an act committed on impulse. There are several accounts of the suspect's bizarre behavior leading to the incident. It was possible that it was premeditated. separated from this group of friends, isolation, inexplicable behavior. Several days before the incident, the suspect began carrying a little bat. The suspect was displaying aggressive behavior. Talked to himself at school. His classmates were worried about him. 2 days from the incident, the suspect declared his parents the possibility of his death. Due to these circumstances, police have begun investigation on the possibility that the crime was not committed on impulse, but instead planned several days in advance. This is popping too quickly for me to read some of it. Afterwards, a note was found in the suspect's room that he had written himself. The note was written in 2 sheets of B5 solid rule and notepad, each been torn in half as if trying to conceal it was stuck in behind the clock on the wall. The contents are written in an appendix. Police believe it is strongly related to the incident. Police changed their line of investigation based on the possibility that the suspect was involved in some sort of incident himself. However, no further clues were found, casting doubt on the credibility of the note. Was the crime impulsive or premeditated? With the situation unclear and no further developments, the case has been labeled as unresolved. However, the following year, suspicion arose regarding the nature of the note. The note was written on 2 houses of B5 paper in 2 separate lines, but originally a single sheet of B5 paper. Wrote to erase several lines from the middle someone had torn them out. Judging from the size of the letters missing, the section estimated to be 2 to 3 lines. It's highly probable the person who eliminated the lines in question is not the suspect. In addition, judging from the traces of large quantities of cellophane tape being stuck in the back of the box, speculation that something other than the note was stuck there has arisen. The person who first discovered the crime was a detective rumored to have connection with the incident, Kuroda Uishi. He underwent voluntary questioning, but denies involved in any damages to the note. The suspect's note. I, Keiichi Marubara, am in fear for my life. I do not know why they are after me. The only thing I do know is, with Oishiro-sama's curse, Rena and Mion are conspirators of the perpetrators. There are 4 or 5 adults, maybe more. They have a white van. This was all in the first sheet. Everything below this had been ripped out. This is from the second sheet. Everything above had been ripped out. I have no idea why it's become like this. If you're reading this, I'm probably already dead. So the only difference may be the presence or lack of body. You who are reading this, please uncover the truth. This is my only desire. Keiichi Marubara. Mayabara. Holy sweet mother of frack. A new scenario has been unlocked. All cast review sessions become available. Play select extra. On title menu, they call Star Cast Review Session. Screw that. I'm just going through the main parts. But that was part 1. Oh boy. Yeah, that was just part 1. As you can see, this is the part 1 file. Here's part 2, Watanugashi. Part 3, Tataragashi. Part 4, Hima Tsubashi. Part 5 is Mikashi. Part 6 is Shimaboroshi. 7 is Minagoroshi. And then the final part is Mitsurabayashi. And so, I'll give you guys a bit of a taste of Chapter 2, and then we'll call it a night. Of course, I have to set some stuff. In the settings, because I need it to full screen. There we go. New title screen. Watanugashi, the most possibilities. How is your taste of life in Himazawa? A curse or a conspiracy? I believe you have fully enjoyed everything and everyone seems suspicious. Here at last, it's no surprise attack, but a real, direct instant. Please enjoy. The difficulty is lower than Onikakushi, but is extremely vicious. Yep, that creepy laugh is still there. I will not quench your thirst, for you seek the truth, cannot accept it. I will not quench your thirst, for the truth you desire does not exist. But I still want to quench your thirst, for I am the one who cast you into the desert. Frederica Birkenstell. This is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to actual persons, organizations is coincidental, as usual. 1983, early summer, the 50th year of the Showa era. So this is part 2. The chirping of birds serves as my alarm clock. Huh? Wasn't today Sunday? Wasn't it basically my style to stay up late on Saturday and sleep in the mornings on Sunday? Why was I waking up at this disgusting wholesome hour? Back to sleep, back to sleep. Keiichi, you awake? You have a phone call. At the moment, the sound of my mother calling me from downstairs finally registered. Phone call? I sprang out of bed and stampeded noisily down the stairs. As you can see, time has reset. He's awake, I'll put him on right now, Mom informed the person on the other end. Hello, it's me. Wait, this me. Morning, Keiichi-kun. You're such a sleepyhead. Such a sleepyhead. Oh, Rena, what's going on so early in the morning? Well, it's so early, it's the middle of the day, you know? It's 11 o'clock. I guess you could loosely consider it middle of the day. What's up? Hold on a second. I'll put me count on this now. Oh yeah, Keiichi-kun! I heard you say this English said me good morning. Alright, why don't we try saying it in Chinese, German, or Russian as well? Ni-hao, Kei-chan. Guten Morgen, Kei-chan. Russian. Despedelia. How the hell did I know? Whatever. This stupid conversation woke me up. That's good to hear. So, Keiichi-kun, you free right now? Good, then we got everybody. Everybody? So, you know the club members? That's right. I've been thinking every day, always end in this evening competition, at least I can spend my day out peacefully. You're too naive, Kei-chan. Yeah. The aim of our club is to find the best solution for every situation. In other words, we don't care if it's the weekend. Oh, looks like Kei-chan has come to understand our club. So how about it? Can you come? I have absolutely nothing planned that day. If I were to refuse the club president Neon's invitation, what other fun ways to pass the time? It's not like I'm planning to do anything. If I said no, you'd probably just declare me the loser by default and force a penalty game on me anyway. I understand that much. You can't refuse, right? You're okay with it, you have to leave the place at 1 o'clock. We're going into town, so bring your bike, you okay? Club activities in town? Well, we could do them anywhere. Besides, since it's a new venue, there's no way this is going to be intense. I'm holding a pretty big grudge from that narrow loss a couple days ago. I'll say right now, I'm not going to lose. A couple days ago, it was Friday Club events. That uncompromising poker man. I'll drop a save here. Yes, we are back. Yes. Interesting. Because we're now in part 2, which means time has reset now, because at the end of part 1, Keiichi's dead, Neon's dead, Rena's dead, and very likely more people are dead, but now we're back to everyone's alive, everyone's happy. We're back to club events. Yay! Slice of life cards. But I'll leave it right now, because it is past 10:30, I have work in the morning. I will bid everyone adieu, and have a good night. Yep. Each part is a loop.